Alright guys, Matt from Just Wrench It here. I'm just holding the camera so the video might be a little shaky. Alright, so here's what we got. The new lower control arm came in yesterday. What you have here is you have your ball joint here. Attaches to your wheel hub assembly. This is flipped around. You see the inner and outer tie rods here connected to it. That's actually the bottom side. So this is going to go in there. Here's your front. Let me try to get you some light. Here's the front bushing. Now, I just put this on and got the first bolt through. There's a... You're probably not going to be able to see it. Yeah, you can. That's the first bolt. I got it lined up. Now, to do that, I actually had to loosen the nut here on the front of the lower control arm to get it in place. So, it could allow the holes for that bracket to line up. This here is a bracket directly on the subframe. It's welded to it. Now, on that, I did have kind of a pain with that. And that's when all this stuff wrecked. This metal, sorry, bad camera. This metal here, the actual bracket, looks to me to be about 4 millimeters thick. It's actually fairly thick and pretty strong. It had gotten crimped in just a little bit, enough though to where I couldn't get the lower arm in. So between prying and I put a bolt in there, not the bolt for the assembly, but a different bolt and some nuts inside, and then just tightened it down to help spread it open, and did that, and some pulling and some heat to make the metal a little more malleable. And that's what you get there. Now, the bolt is, it's very long. It's, I don't know, like 5 inches. So what is normal here is your sway bar is going to be down like that-ish. Obviously, mine's disconnected, but you'll have a connection here. You'll have a connection up on your strut. Now, the bolt here won't be able to come out because of the sway bar, stabilizer bar, whatever you want to call it. So go to the other side of the car, undo the stabilizer link. Doesn't matter if you undo the top or the bottom, just whichever one. For me, it was easier to get to the top. And then you can just swing this up. It literally moves up and down by hand. And you can move that out of the way to get the bolt in and out. So now I got to line up this other bolt, get it in, tighten all this down. Then I can start putting my hub assembly back together. Put the new CV axle, where is it? Here's the, well, it's not new, but it's used from a junkyard. There's the used one. If you guys want to see, that's the old one. That's where it split. Grab this other section here. Here's the other section that was still stuck in the transmission. Luckily for me and this Acadia. There is a drain pan. And deep down in there, you can just see it. That's where the CV axle goes. So, yeah, lucky for me, that failed before the transmission did. And I have the old fluid. I haven't looked at it, like, a lot. I mean, obviously, I drained it. I haven't looked at it. I'm going to look at it. If it looks like it's in pretty good shape, I may try to reuse it. I'm not 100% sure. It depends on how dirty it looks. If it looks clean and relatively well maintained, I guess. No metal shards in it, stuff like that, then I'll probably just put new in. But if it looks dirty, then I might actually reuse it. So we'll see how that goes. Haven't got to any of the real damage there yet, but I want to make sure this thing's going to roll and move on its own power, and everything's going to function right before I do that. Okay, guys, I don't know how I'm going to edit this video, but okay, there's your little bolt, little ball joint. There's your ball joint, and the nut is a lock nut, and inside, it's really hard to see, but inside there is an Allen head, like that. So you put an Allen head in there to keep the ball joint from spinning while you tighten that down. So now you got that tightened down. We got our wheel speed sensor hooked back into the housing. I still need to tighten that, but we are what is that? So oh yeah, okay, but we are so much closer now to getting this housing actually put back together. Those go in there, some bolts go through. We'll be a lot closer to putting this thing back together. We're working on it. We're getting there. Happy. Progress is being made. Okay, we'll see if I can somehow throw this in the video. Show you guys how to replace this lower control arm on a 2009 GMC Acadia. Well, actually, I think it's probably about the same. If I recall right, I think it's like 07 to like 2012 or something. They're all about the same. All right, somehow I refuse to stop working. So you're gonna take your axle and you're gonna shove it in there, all the way back in. You kind of play with the splines a little, rotate it until you feel it sliding in pretty easily. You don't want to feel a lot of resistance. And then once you feel confident that you've got it in a good spot with the splines, then you push it in, and you're gonna feel a pop. Like it's gonna feel good. Like I'm grabbing the actual housing of it right now, and I'm pulling, and there's nothing happening. So that tells you that you got it in, and your seal's going to seal, and everything should be fine there. Then you take this end, same thing here. There's going to be, in this case, the splines are in here, the inside of the wheel bearing housing, whatever you want to call that. And so when you put that in, it's easier just to rotate this area here till you get the splines nice and lined up. And then once you've got that good, get your nut, your spindle nut, started to thread on. I actually, I don't know if I went over this in another video, but I actually bought the spindle nut set at Harbor Freight. It's just a giant impact socket set. Mine on this is 34 millimeters, or at least that's what fits it. It might actually be standard. It's got a little slop, but 34 millimeter works. And then you put that sucker on there. So now we have everything back together. I have to tighten up the wheel speed sensor here, that little 10 millimeter bolt hiding down here in the dark. Gotta tighten that up and put the brakes back together. But compared to what we've already done, brakes are child's play. So we're a lot closer. Looks like everything's going to be good here. Pretty good day so far. It is way past my bedtime. I have to pick my daughter up from school today. So I'm up late. And I figured I'd come out here and work on this. Hopefully a couple more days I'll have this back together. And then we can actually start trying to work out some of these dents and things. But once we find out for sure that the vehicle's in good shape, I plan on replacing the lower control arm on the other side just because it's probably going to need it. Other than that, I'll probably try to roll with it as it is. But the lower control arm, it's going to need an alignment after that anyway, so you might as well do those in pairs, seeing as how one side's brand new and the other side's probably original. So that's what I'm doing today, guys. I figured I'd stop real quick, give you an update where I'm at. Hopefully another day or so, 2 days maybe, I'll have this back together and then make sure it rolls. All right, thanks for stopping by, catching the update. Matt from Just Wrench It. I'll see you guys later. Bye.